That's all you get. Let's get right to it. Revision. Thomas Delauer actually, commented on my last video on the subject and said that, hey, that video was missing some context. You should check out the full video. That's only fair that I do that. I did, and definitely there was a lack of context on Instagram for sure. He says that, the diet that's going to work is the one you're going to adhere to, which is 100% correct. He's not saying intermittent fasting is the be-all, end-all. As much as he likes intermittent fasting, as much as I like intermittent fasting, y'all know I've said it's not, everything it's been magically cracked up to be. But he said, losing weight is paramount, and the one you're going to stick to is the one you're going to stick to. If you want to try intermittent fasting, you start with smaller fast. Again, all great stuff. I agree with that. As far as the fasted workouts, again, he's talking in reference to knees over toes guy style workouts. I'm not 100% privy to what all those are, but he mentions that they're not these big, catabolic, calorie burning workouts. And so you don't really necessarily need to make sure you're super fueled up through them. Me, as somebody who likes to have carbs, before and during workouts, especially when I'm putting in 4-hour sessions on the weekend. But if you're training this style that's not as taxing like that, then so be it. No qualms with that at all. He's recommending, eating protein with carbs after your workout. Again, that is something I buy 1,000% into. Of course, again, I mentioned that carbs peri-workout are paramount for what we're doing. Generally, I'm speaking to people who are, training to build muscle and or strength. The post-workout protein and carbs, super big. I'm with him on that. Now, I want to say, they're big. It's something I do. I make sure I do. He mentions being insulin sensitive because you fasted and then making the most use of that. And while I agree that that's going to, be the quote unquote best use of those protein and carbs coming at that point, don't get sold on that this is the only way, which he's not saying this is the only way. He's saying this is the quote unquote best way or the way to make best use of it. But even that, like when we're saying that this is going to be the best way, we're talking about these super optimal things. We're talking very minutia percentages. So don't miss the forest for the trees. If that's not going to be something you can adhere to and your diet has been great otherwise, don't go out of your way necessarily to try this. By all means, stick to doing what you've been doing. It's not going to make or break anything not doing this. He's just suggesting that this is perhaps a more optimal way to do it, and that's fine. There's not a lot of bold claims like I thought there was with the initial clip. I thought he was speaking in absolutes. In the full video, he's definitely not speaking in absolutes. So hats off to you. It's definitely not what I perceived it to be from the Instagram video. So that's that part. Second part, I went and skimmed through some of his videos for probably 2 to 3 hours yesterday. My YouTube feed is all messed up now. It's full of his videos. So you're welcome for that sacrifice. Anyway, I stopped even paying attention to him years ago. I've mentioned before, as somebody who's been part of the fasting community, going back to like fucking 2014, 2015, a lot of the people in the community were very woo-woo, if you will, and made some bold claims. Looking at his more recent stuff, he's very much more not just making these bold woo-woo claims, if you will. There's a lot of talk of evidence-based stuff. And he's pointing people in a good direction, if you will. I watched a video about, high protein dieting and shopping, and he had a video on longevity, which a lot of his stuff seems to be longevity based now. That's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not going to speak too directly on that. But he had a really interesting video on, people with the longer lifespans, like Okinawans and Mediterraneans and things like that, and what they eat. And he made a great observation. That's something I've said a lot of times is, their diets tend to vary, from region to region. And maybe it's not necessarily just the diet. The diet may not even be the most important part of it. There's other things that, affect how we age and how long we live, stress and things like that. And personally speaking, the best I can tell is, being a healthy body weight reduces mortality, and then, managing and mitigating stress. And his video is pretty good on that. Like I said, I skimmed through some of his videos, so if he made some outlandish claim or something, I'm sure y'all will find it and tell me I'm a bad person for not calling him a bad person anymore. But most of what I've seen from his recent stuff, again, unless I missed something, seems very reasonable and not out of bounds like I remember from years back. So, yeah. Hats off to Thomas Delauer. I appreciate you taking the time to comment on my measly channel's video, and yeah, seems like a good enough dude to me. Peace.